welcome once again, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, to Mysteries from Beyond the Other Dominion. I'm your host, Dr. Franklin Ruehl, and today we're going to ask if a time donut will allow us to travel into the past and into the future. Tell you about the case of the burglar who found a corpse in a home that he was robbing. Investigate the mysterious Wendigo and critique the 1965 sci-fi flick Gamera, the Invincible, and cover other intriguing subjects, time of course permitting. But first, is time travel possible? Now, for decades, sci-fi writers have written about time travel. Very fascinating. But mainstream scientists have actually been very skeptical of the possibility that man could travel either forward or backward in time. However, there's been published a new paper in the Physical Review of Letters from a doctor at the Israeli Institute of Technology, Dr. Amos Ari, who argues that time travel would be possible through the creation of a so-called gravity donut, as shown here. Now, we know from Einstein's equations that time, gravity, mass, and speed are all interrelated. For example, a massive black hole, perhaps 1,000,000 times the mass of our sun, rotating actually bends time and space. At least that's the theory. And of course you may have heard of the idea that you could enter a black hole at one point, travel through a so-called wormhole, and exit at another black hole to another time and location in space. Now, is there another way to make that more practical? Well, according to Dr. Ari, it is indeed by the creation of the time or gravity donut. Now, how might that be created? Well, one way might be to have, with, say, a tractor beam, an asteroid placed in orbit about our planet, then accelerated, perhaps with the addition of nuclear engines, so it was spinning around our planet at near the speed of light, at luminal speeds. Then, an individual, at one point on the gravity donut, could travel either direction and thus go either forward or backward in time, perhaps even traversing it where the Earth would be at the center, and thus visit various epochs of time on Earth. And I point out this is entirely different from the standard travel where we go from the past to the future in a straight line and cannot go backwards. Now, amazingly, a number of mainstream scientists have now acknowledged this might be possible. And of course, for aliens that are more advanced than we are, perhaps they've already created gravity donuts that they've been perhaps used to encircle a planet they want to investigate or whose past they might want to alter. Now, there are a couple of problems, of course. You may have heard of the so-called time paradox. This seems to argue against time travel. The idea is that if a time traveler could go to the past, he could kill his grandparents or parents, preventing his own birth. But if he was never born, how could he have gone back in time to kill them? In fact, this was actually very well developed in one of the original Outer Limits segments starring Martin Landau as a man in the future who went back to the present to kill the man who was responsible for a plague in the future that turned everyone into mutants. He did prevent the man's birth. Then as he was traveling back to his time, he vanished because he was indeed the man who was never born. There's also another problem, the so-called butterfly effect, enunciated by Ray Bradbury in an excellent short story. There in the future, we had developed time traveler, and a time traveler, a tycoon, was going back in time. He was going to shoot a T-Rex who was about to die, his death apparently not going to affect the future. But he fell off the platform, got back on, killed the T-Rex. Then when they returned to the present, they found that the Nazis had taken over. The guide looked at the man's boot, and apparently when he fell off the platform, he crushed a butterfly, and that simple act altered the future. So if we have time travelers from our own future on Earth who might be exploring our time, they would want to be careful not to make any contact, because anything they did here might adversely affect their own existence in the future. Now, let's look at an example of time traveler from the 1953 TV episode of The Space Patrol. Roll tape. High adventure in the wild, vast reaches of space, missions of sharing in the name of interplanetary justice. future with Buzz Corey, Commander-in-Chief of the Space Patrol.
I thought we'd seen the last of you, you phony prince.
Yes, Cadet, you've seen the last of Prince Baccarati, but only because your hours are numbered. My loyal subject Buzz has seen to it.
What? Sure, that's where I've seen him before.
Yes, it is Buzzy. I should have recognized him. It doesn't matter. We're not going to stay your prisoners long.
Oh?
Beat all this noise you're making, Baccarati. You're a weakling. What's more important, you're a coward.
Stop! How dare you to speak that way to Prince Baccarati? You commoner, you peasant! You common! Remember, your time never will repeat, Prince Baccarati. Never, do you hear?
Your Highness, destroy them quickly, before they cause trouble.
Kill them!
I will, and I enjoyed my revenge.
Yes, but your Highness, are silence, Barty!
I wish to enjoy my revenge, I shall.
Yes? Barty, what do you got in mind?
Barty?
Yes?
Go back to the control. Set the time drive to take us back to the planet Earth, to the end of the 17th century, the year 1692.
That's the time of the Salem witch trials.
Immediately, Your Honor.
The Salem witch
What
trials.
do you got in mind, Baccarati? What are you going to do to us?
You'd like to know?
Yes.
Your destruction. But in a very ingenious way. I'm going to let history take care of it.
History?
Yes. In the year 1692, there were 13 colonies, what was to become the United States of America.
He knows his history.
And in one of those states, there was an uprising.
Massachusetts.
An uprising of people against witches and demons. Innocent people were condemned and accused of sorcery.
Hey, wait a minute. You're not going to dump us back there in the past with those people?
Yes.
Sorcerers from out of hell.
They'll be burned at the stake.
What are we going to do, Commander?
Oh, we're going to stop it.
Don't try that again.
You'll regret this, Corey. And the colonists will point an accusing finger at you. You'll regret that you attacked Prince Baccarat. And when you're burning at the stake, remember that the revenge of the Black Falcon is complete.
Okay. Now, interestingly, Dr. Ari argues that there's now a 50-50 chance that in the future we will develop a time donut. That would have been unheard of 10 years ago. So it looks like time travel may be feasible despite the butterfly effect and the time paradox. We will find out in the future. Now until next time, may the power of the cosmos and of the time donut be with you. Yes, yes, yes.